Breaking tonight, new fallout after Veterans Affairs Secretary Eric Shinseki appeared before Congress, testifying about allegations of misconduct at the Phoenix VA Medical Center that may have killed dozens of vets.
Any allegation, any adverse incident like this makes me mad as hell. But at the same time, it also saddens me because I understand that out of those adverse events, a veteran and a veteran's family is dealing in the aftermath, and I always try to put myself in their shoes.
Even before that testimony, however, new focus shifting to the White House. A new report quoting a top Democratic Senate aide claiming the president's team is more concerned with the politics of the scandal than getting to the bottom of it. The source reportedly saying, quote, "This isn't about covering your blank. It's about taking care of guys who went to war so you didn't have to." Pete Hegseth did go to war. He's an Iraq and Afghanistan combat veteran, CEO of Concerned Veterans for America, and a Fox News contributor. And another veteran among us, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, a Fox News strategic analyst. Gentlemen, welcome to you, and thank you both for your service before we get started.
Thank you. I was only a veteran of German beer halls.
Well, a veteran nonetheless. Colonel, I'll start with you. There are a lot of folks calling for the secretary to step down. Others say, listen, he is a decorated guy. He is an experienced guy. The VA is a mess. What say you?
Well, first of all, I certainly feel that our veterans deserve the very best care this country can give them at any cost. And I certainly believe that the VA has a long way to go to continue to improve. But you can't blame General Shinseki for 50 years of underfunding and neglect. He can't fix all that in 5 years. And Shannon, I am not going to lynch mob, the Washington lynch mob, out to get not only an honorable veteran, but a man who's a wounded veteran himself who lost half his foot to a landmine in Vietnam, served in uniform for almost 30 years, retired as Chief of Staff of the Army. And you know what, Shannon? He could have done what so many senior generals and admirals do. He could have gotten out and prostituted himself to the defense industry, made millions of dollars a year, but he didn't. Because he believes in our vets and wanted to help, General Eric Shinseki took the most thankless job in Washington as head of the Veterans Administration. He has been trying, he's an honorable man, trying to make it better for our vets. And I hear people pouncing on him that they themselves were too good to serve. And I'd ask all those who want General Shinseki fired, who do you want to replace him with? Susan Rice?
Well, and is this an issue that the problem is just too much of a mess that no matter how honorable and how dedicated a leader is, Pete, it's just too much for one person to go in and resolve in any reasonable amount of time? I know that you didn't seem very impressed with his testimony today on the Hill.
Well, yeah, I was not. This problem is, unfortunately, however, much larger than Secretary Shinseki. You need a reformer at the very top. Secretary Shinseki is not. I think he's an honorable man, like the Colonel said, and I usually agree with Colonel Peters, but I think Colonel Peters is dead wrong here. Secretary Shinseki has not been the kind of leader that department needs. He has not been a forceful reformer that cuts through red tape, tells it like it is, and holds people accountable who fail. No general in charge of a unit that fails continually for 6 years keeps their job. And that's effectively what we're talking about with Secretary Shinseki. This is not a lynch mob. This is a very concerted, this is a look that we've had at this department for quite some time. Our organization's called for Shinseki to step down for over a year. This is a department that doesn't answer questions from Congress, doesn't answer questions from the media, stonewalls down whistleblowers, stonewalls others who are trying to provide oversight, and doesn't provide timely care to veterans. That's what it ultimately comes down to. Then you have scandals of secret lists. He calls them isolated incidents as opposed to taking responsibility. Frankly, unfortunately, it was embarrassing testimony today, and I think a manifestation of bureaucracy that hasn't been held accountable for a long time. A change at the top is needed, and a change throughout is needed.
All right, Colonel, I want to give you a chance to respond to that, but I want to read a little bit to you from Senator Jerry Moran, Republican out of Kansas, who also was not happy with the Secretary's testimony today. He said, what we've learned is that the Secretary has had access to dozens of IG reports, GAO reports, congressional inquiries, input from the VFW, American Legion, and really indicated in his testimony that he didn't know that much about the content that was in those reports. What do you make of that, Colonel?
Well, first of all, General Shinseki is a quiet man. He's not a grandstander. He's not in this for fame or fortune by any means. And again, you know, tell me who you're going to replace him with. General Shinseki knows the military, he knows veterans, he knows how to run a large organization, but it's not his fault that the federal workforce is a prisoner to unions. If you want to reform VA, don't fire Shinseki. Give General Shinseki the authority to fire the underperformers. Get rid of the people in Phoenix who need to be fired. But Obama won't do that because the administration is enslaved to the federal unions.
We all know that it is not easy to terminate a government employee. Pete?
Absolutely. Colonel Peters is absolutely right. Secretary Shinseki, if he wanted to be, I mean, he could push a lot more against the grain. He could pound his fist on the desk and try to do even more to force the hand of an administration that says a lot about how it wants to help veterans, but hasn't gone in and really tried to do a whole lot about it except throw more money at the problem. Problem is, managers and employees cannot be fired in Veterans Affairs. Thankfully, there's legislation in the House and Senate to change that. And then when Secretary Shinseki goes, and I think he will soon, you got to replace him with someone outside the system who's empowered with the tools to do it, to reform a VA that is very good at overwhelming secretaries, which is exactly what's happened here with Shinseki.
All right, gentlemen.
Shannon,
and veterans.
Only the Obama administration does not care about veterans. They care about politics.
All right. Well, the president has publicly said he does care about this, and we will watch and see what the administration does moving forward. Thank you, gentlemen, both of you.